Keir Starmer now says he's the guy that's going to control our borders. The same Keir Starmer that decriminalised illegal immigration, has prioritised illegals over our own good people, has thrown them into hotels and generally prioritised them for housing as well, and wanted to make sure that anyone who spoke out against illegal immigration was called far right and put in prison. But now suddenly he's all for it. He also says that those arriving in our country should speak English. Maybe he could go to Birmingham or Bradford or Luton or Leicester or any other of his voting areas and say that, because none of them will understand a bloody word.
Katie Hopkins has launched a blistering critique of Keir Starmer, one that's reverberated across Westminster and beyond. This wasn't a dry exchange on policy or party lines. It was a pointed, satirical assault delivered with precision and intent. Her remarks combined sharp wit with ruthless political commentary, drawing both laughter and discomfort in equal measure. What began as biting humour quickly evolved into a moment of stark political reality, a challenge to Starmer's credibility and leadership. Within hours, clips of the confrontation spread rapidly across social media platforms, with commentators describing it as one of the most ferocious public takedowns in recent memory. Hopkins, known for her unapologetic style, appeared in recent footage from June 2025 at her most relentless, dismantling Starmer's image with calculated fury and unfiltered honesty. For observers of British politics, it was more than just a performance. It was a defining moment in the growing public backlash against Labour's leadership.
Morning, it's Keir here. My director of strategy, who's a right ginger, has said that I should explain our new policy on migration very simply. So before, we loved illegals. We couldn't get enough of illegals. Illegals, come, welcome. I helped bring them in. I put them in hotels. I also love a Rwandan. I love me a stubby Rwandan. In fact, I love all illegals because they are the ones that vote for us. So if you go to any of the Labour strongholds, Luton, Leicester, Birmingham, Bradford, all you'll find is Muslims, and we can buy their vote for 20 quid. But then we got beaten by reform. So now we say, we cannot stand illegals. We are the ones that will control the border. You can trust us. We will stop them coming.
Keir Starmer appeared visibly unsettled, a leader caught in a political storm of his own making. His expression reflected exhaustion and uncertainty as chaos seemed to unfold in every direction. Moments earlier, he had faced a relentless verbal assault from Katie Hopkins, a tirade as unforgiving as it was unfiltered. Hopkins, known for her incendiary style and uncompromising rhetoric, delivered a critique that cut straight through Labour's carefully managed image. Her attack targeted what many critics describe as Starmer's fading authority and wavering public confidence. Starmer's response, or lack of it, only deepened the sense of unease. He looked paralysed by the moment, overwhelmed by poor polling figures and growing dissent within his own ranks. It was a revealing snapshot of leadership under pressure, a man struggling to maintain composure as the political ground shifts beneath him. In the space of a few minutes, the encounter became symbolic of a wider problem, a Labour leader unable to project control at the very moment his party most needs it.
Here's the thing here. I've had a thought that fixes a lot of your problems. So, you're looking to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, specifically Kyiv. I thought, why don't you get all the people that had a Ukraine flag on their social media profile? Obviously they had to take down their NHS one and their LGBTQ one to put up the Ukraine one. But those people, and the people who took in a Ukrainian into their homes like a little pet, just for Christmas. The people that are like, oh yeah, we've got one. Yeah, we've got a Ukrainian family. Yeah. We've got a Ukrainian family, because we're a better kind of person.
Keir Starmer has spent the past year attempting to convince the public that he is a leader of conviction, a man driven by principle rather than political calculation. Yet, for many in Britain, that image simply isn't convincing. One moment he pledges unwavering loyalty to Brexit, presenting it as a cornerstone of his leadership. The next, he appears uncertain and hesitant when challenged on trade or international policy. The contrast is striking and damaging. At times, Starmer seems less like a commanding leader and more like an anxious newcomer, fumbling through a presentation to an unimpressed boardroom. Even when he briefly shows resolve, it often feels borrowed, a spark of borrowed conviction rather than genuine belief. It leaves an uncomfortable question hanging over Westminster. Does Keir Starmer truly stand for something, or is he merely performing the role expected of him?
Comrades, my name is Keir Starmer, and I'm here to fuck the foundations. When I became your Prime Minister, not only did I get new hair and glasses provided by a donor who now has full access to 10 Downing Street and my bedroom, we were promised three things. Number one, we would be fully costed and fully funded. We're so fully funded and fully costed, we're essentially just like Katie Price, or HS2, or the public sector in Argentina pre-Milei, depending on your sense of humour. In order to make the £22 billion hole in the budget even worse, we have spunked a whole bunch of cash at train drivers and junior doctors. This guarantees two things. Number one,
Katie Hopkins re-entered the political spotlight with her trademark force loud, uncompromising, and unapologetically direct. Her latest intervention cut through the noise with the precision of a political scalpel, targeting Keir Starmer's carefully constructed public image. Hopkins exposed what she described as the contrast between Starmer's bureaucratic stiffness and his lack of genuine charisma, a leader who appears more procedural than passionate. Her remarks, blunt and unsparing, stripped away the polish of Labour's presentation and placed Starmer under a harsh public spotlight. When confronted by such unfiltered criticism, Starmer's composure seemed to falter. His response, cautious and uncertain, only reinforced the perception of a leader struggling to project authenticity. It was a moment that revealed, once again, how thin the veneer of confidence around Labour's leadership can sometimes appear.
Keir Starmer has been in Italy with Monotony. So you've got a left-wing, radical left-wing human rights guy over with what would be labelled as far-right Monotony in Italy. Now, I appreciate many of you will know much of this already, but it bears repeating at some level. Firstly, Monotony has been very successful at getting migrant numbers down. She's done that by, number one, hitting where they leave. So Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, she's making deals with those guys to stop the boats.
While Keir Starmer has often struggled to inject energy or clarity into his press conferences, events that at times feel more like cautious briefings than moments of leadership, Katie Hopkins has shown no such restraint. She entered the debate with her trademark bluntness, cutting through Starmer's vague responses with pointed precision. Her critique was ruthless. Hopkins accused Labour's leadership of lacking conviction, comparing Starmer's economic strategy to little more than empty gestures and polished rhetoric. To her, his performances project the image of a man pretending to have a plan rather than leading with one. For months, Starmer's approach to economic policy has been cautious to the point of paralysis, following Conservative moves, rather than defining Labour's own direction. Hopkins seized on that hesitation, arguing that Starmer has turned Labour into a hollow imitation of its former self. Her parting question landed like a challenge. Beyond managing appearances, what does Keir Starmer actually stand for?
Keir Starmer having an affair with his voice coach. I know, dog. I know. Disbelief. I mean, I think we all have some questions, don't we? Question one. Why do guys always have affairs with people that look exactly like the wife they already had? I mean, if you've already got that wife, what's the point of having an affair with another woman who looks exactly the same as the wife that you apparently don't want? Why not pick someone, you know, super exciting, maybe with massive boobs, or a lady from another continent with an enormous bottom? I mean, just something completely different to what you've already got. Why are you still shopping in the same supermarket? So
each time Keir Starmer speaks about growth, economists across the country seem to wince in collective disbelief. His strategy, at least in presentation, appears less like a plan for expansion and more like an exercise in cautious stagnation, an attempt to talk the economy into recovery without any real spark of innovation behind it. He repeatedly invokes the familiar buzzwords productivity, investment, innovation, yet behind the rhetoric, there is little sign of a coherent framework. Starmer often gives the impression of a man equipped with endless spreadsheets but short on the tools required for genuine reform. On immigration, the challenge is even greater. Starmer moves cautiously through a political minefield, attempting to appease both left and right, and in doing so, often satisfies neither. His policies remain so vague that clarity itself feels like a risk he's unwilling to take. Katie Hopkins seized on that indecision with characteristic ferocity, accusing Starmer of turning the UK's border policy into what she called a revolving door, a symbol of weak governance and frustrated voters. Her attack, though incendiary, touched on a broader sentiment that Labour's leadership remains trapped between ambition and hesitation, unable to define what it truly stands for.
Finally, Keir Starmer says he's going to have a peace talk for Ukraine. Peace talks for Ukraine. Oh, yes, I'm going to have peace talks. Yeah, so what did you do for the last 3 years? Oh, yeah, bugger all. And now Trump's coming to fix the problem, and you want some of his success? Please, you're like a tick on a bloody dog. The last time the EU leaders were together, they took their jackets off in solidarity with Zelensky. Oh, do you think he'll take me up the... We've never seen anything this gay since the last time, I don't know, Macron and Brigitte did a little walkabout.
Keir Starmer's speeches are difficult to overlook, not because they inspire, but because they drone on with such calculated precision that even his critics struggle to stay awake. Every line feels rehearsed to the point of lifelessness, as if authenticity itself were a political risk. His delivery, flat and mechanical, lacks the natural conviction of a leader who truly believes what he's saying. Katie Hopkins identified this instantly, branding Starmer as the personification of political monotony, a man so cautious he mistakes hesitation for leadership. Her critique cut deep, questioning why every crisis under his watch seems to elicit the same anemic response. We'll look into it. It's less a statement of intent than a reflexive deflection, the verbal equivalent of a shrug in a suit. On Law and Order, Starmer's posture is similarly hollow. He talks tough, but the substance rarely follows. His tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions, once touted as a pillar of credibility, now serves as a reminder of how easily administrative caution can masquerade as resolve. Hopkins, ever unrestrained, dismissed the spin and went straight for the weak spot. Where is the proof of this so-called safe and steady leadership? Thus far, she argued, it's amounted to little more than lofty promises, the political equivalent of buying a gym membership in January and never showing up.
Do I think Starmer has seen Angela's Furburger? Oh no. I believe, personally, my personal opinion is that Keir Starmer's gay. He seems gay to me. My gaydar goes off, but in a bad way. Not a good gay, like a gay, like a Macron gay, a Trudeau gay, shady little bastard gay. So I would say Keir Starmer's gay. Yeah, that would be my personal opinion. And undoubtedly what will happen now is Channel 4 News, as happened this week, will be given advance warning in order to come with the West Midlands Police Force, because they're big supporters of mine.
Keir Starmer's latest pledge to the working class was less a policy announcement and more a performance, the kind of scripted authenticity that belongs on a Channel 4 reality show rather than in Westminster. His attempt at the man of the people, routine strolling into Greg's, sausage roll in hand, as if fresh from a factory shift, felt contrived, another photo op masquerading as conviction. Katie Hopkins didn't miss the opportunity to expose it for what it was, political theatre, dressed up as empathy. Her criticism was cutting, comparing Starmer's stage-managed appearances to donning a high-vis jacket and posing behind a forklift for the cameras. This, she argued, is Starmer's leadership in a nutshell, a masterclass in cautious inertia. When NHS staff strike, he pauses. When trains grind to a halt, he pauses. When crises mount, he waits, breath held, hoping indecision will somehow be mistaken for balance. It's a strategy fit for a classroom visit, not for governing a nation. Hopkins, ever unflinching, put it plainly. Starmer's leadership thrives on ambiguity. He confuses silence with wisdom, restraint with strategy. But beneath that stillness lies not calm authority, only hesitation, a leader short on courage, short on vision, and, increasingly, short on the trust of those he claims to represent.
Because as I have said before, as many of you are fully aware, those who control the movement of human flesh, a slave trade unlike anything ever seen before in the past, are the leaders of the major religions, the leaders of political dynasties, and the banking scions and the global leadership.